Every day, all of us are confronted with new images of natural and environmental disasters. These disasters take all kinds of forms. They can be forest fires that destroy thousands of acres of forest and threaten homes, loss of jobs. They can be floods that destroy cities, coastlines, threaten lives. They can be human disasters. Exploding oil rigs contaminate huge oceans, destroy wildlife, and cause environmental impact. But what do all of these impacts, these environmental impacts and natural disasters have in common? They're drastic, they're shocking, they're immediate, and they're newsworthy. But what if there was a different kind of natural disaster occurring? A kind of natural disaster that doesn't take place immediately. It's a slow motion disaster. We think about a coral reef that's been degraded over decades slowly, invisibly, without anyone noticing, until all of a sudden we realize that the coral reef is no longer living. It's no longer supporting life. It's no longer realizing the functions it was meant to. A hillside on a mountain is slowly chipped away at and fragments disappear of this forest until it's no longer a viable habitat. These kind of environmental disasters happen gradually, incrementally, slowly, almost imperceptibly, and we don't realize they're taking place. Scientists have a term for this type of disaster. They call these landscape amnesia, creeping normality, shifting baselines, death by 1,000 cuts. The idea is essentially the same for all of them. Environmental wreckage occurring over long periods of time, gradually, incrementally, that we rarely see and we rarely perceive as happening. And it changes our perception to the point where we feel that it's acceptable, becomes normal. In 2011, we started work on a film, not coincidentally called Death by 1,000 Cuts. And what we wanted to do was look at the famous case study of the island of Hispaniola. As you know, Hispaniola is one island shared by two different countries, Dominican Republic and Haiti. And the island has a shared history, but different cultures, different language, different political systems, different colonial pasts. But they share the same resources. You may remember this photograph. It was published in 1987 in National Geographic, and then it was reproduced numerous times in books, in magazines. It even made an appearance in the Oscar-winning film Inconvenient Truth. What we see in this photo is the famous case study of Hispaniola. On the one side, we have the verdant green of the Dominican Republic, which has been responsible about the way they manage their environment. The Dominican Republic has protected their forests. They implemented aggressive and almost drastic measures to protect their forests. They militarized the protection of national parks. They declared over 25% of the national territory as national park. And they've been able to recover the area to close to 30% forest cover. And it's also known as one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America. On the other side, we see Haiti. And we all know Haiti's story. It's barren, it's treeless, it's been deforested, they've been irresponsible about how they've managed their resources, they've cut down all their trees to make wood charcoal a subsistence living, and not surprisingly, as we all know, Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. But what if we know about this story and about this photo is not altogether accurate? What if there's a different story behind this photo? What if in one iconic photo, we've changed our perception of the way this island operates, and we've distorted our ability to take effective action to change this paradigm? Death by 1,000 Cuts was a journey that we took over the course of 5 years to investigate specifically the illegal trafficking of wood charcoal from the border forests of the Dominican Republic into Haiti. Haiti still relies on wood charcoal for over 90% of their needs for cooking fuel. Dominican Republic has made aggressive changes and no longer relies principally on wood charcoal. So as a result, the Dominican forests have become an attractive source for wood for production of charcoal. And so we follow the production of wood From the high mountain forests of the Sierra de Bauruco National Park to the lowlands surrounding Lago Enriquillo Lake, where the poorest of the poor produce rudimentary charcoal ovens out of local trees. We follow as the charcoal is trafficked across the border illegally, by night, by trail, on people's heads, on mule, on the backs of trucks, even on boats. And at the end, charcoal arrives in the urban centers of Haiti, where it becomes a prized commodity. There's almost an insatiable appetite for charcoal in Haiti, and the Dominican Republic is increasingly becoming the source of that charcoal. What's left behind is environmental wreckage. Barren trees and hillsides, loss of soil, rivers that are drying up, loss of habitat, loss of productivity. But more than just that, more than just the environmental consequences of the production of charcoal, there's also real human consequences. There's a human drama unplaying on the border of Dominican Republic and Haiti, and we follow this in the movie. It becomes a personal story where we look at the consequences of how deforestation can impact people. In this case, we follow the murder of a Dominican park ranger who's murdered by a Haitian charcoal producer while doing his job in the Sierra de Bauruco National Park. Melanio Vargas goes into the national park to apprehend a Haitian charcoal producer, and he's murdered. There's a confrontation. He's killed with a machete. He's slashed to pieces. His throat is cut. And the film follows the story of what happens afterwards, the consequences on the families, on the individual, and on the communities that are impacted by this murder. We get to know Chichi, Melanio's brother, who has never been able to recover from the death of his brother. Chichi is also a park ranger, and he's never come to terms with the fact that the assassin is still free, there's been no justice, and Melanio is still dead. We get to know Kalina. Kalina is the widow of Melanio, and Kalina is also Haitian. This is almost the perfect border story. Dominican park ranger, married to a Haitian woman. They have 3 children, half Haitian, half Dominican. And we learn about Kalina's struggle as she's trying to survive after the death of Melanio. She has to find work. She has to help her children survive. She faces deportation. And she faces separation from Melanio's family, who no longer want anything to do with her, specifically because she's Haitian, and they associate the death of Melanio with Haitians. When we think about our perspective on environmental change, it's really important to think about the way we perceive environmental change. What if I were to tell you that this photo of a forest is not actually Dominican Republic, this is in Haiti? The image we have of Haiti is of a treeless moonscape, that there's nothing left there, it's barren. Yet many people go to Haiti are very surprised to see there are a lot of trees. In fact, recently researchers have begun looking at the famous 2% forest cover of Haiti that's cited regularly. And still no one has found any evidence that in fact Haiti has 2% forest cover. Most estimates now think that it's closer to 20 to 30% forest cover, much closer to what the Dominican Republic has. This is not to say Haiti is not deforested. It's not to say Haiti doesn't face great vulnerability. It's not to say Haiti doesn't have serious environmental issues. But it's not as hopeless as it might look. Similarly, the Dominican Republic, which has been held up as a model for environmental protection, maybe isn't doing such a great job of protecting these 25% of its territory that's named on paper, at least, as national parks. This is the Sierra de Bauruco National Park, which has been widely impacted by deforestation, both by agriculture, by charcoal production. In the last 10 years, the national parks of the Dominican Republic have lost 122 square miles of forest. The Sierra de Bauruco has lost 22 square miles of forest. The Dominican Republic has had great trouble controlling illegal trafficking of charcoal heading into Haiti. But in our research, what we found was, in fact, most of the vast majority of the charcoal that was illegally transported into Haiti was controlled, operated, and produced by Dominicans, not by Haitians. Similarly, much of the deforestation that happened in Haiti happened in colonial times. It had very little to do with charcoal production. It was timber, it was demands by the colonial powers for repatriations. In fact, in many cases, charcoal has been used as a tool to explain why Haiti is so deforested, and it has remained as a tool. But why does any of this matter? Why does our perspective on Hispaniola matter? Why does our perception of environmental impact matter at all? When we look at Haiti and Dominican Republic, we see a divided island. We see two separate countries. We see two separate practices. We see two separate histories and two separate trajectories. But at the end of the day, Haiti and Dominican Republic are in fact one island that share one set of resources. They can have their differences, they can have their different culture, they can have their different language, but at the end of the day, they rely on the same natural resources. So instead of seeing a divided island, like we've seen for so long in these images, of a winner and a loser, of a country to emulate and a country to avoid becoming, what we need to see is more joint action by Dominican Republic and Haiti and recognize that it's one island and not two separate countries. The Dominican Republic and Haiti have turned into a case study, but they've become a negative case study. By changing the perception of the way we view the island, by changing the way that we look at the stories we tell about the people that are here, by connecting environmental impact to the people, to the communities, and to the different individuals that are affected by environmental impact, we can create urgency. When we create urgency, we can create action. So rather than a cautionary tale for the rest of the world, the Dominican Republic and Haiti can become an example for the world of how to stop a slow motion disaster. Thank you.